Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to the Unfiltered by Jade, where we educate, empower, and entertain. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, download, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget.
Welcome back to the Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us here a special guest. His name is Regimental Sergeant Major Garfield Rowe, retired. And I am going to have such a good conversation, and I'm sure that you also would enjoy this conversation. We're going to be speaking about revealing the hidden truth about the life as a soldier. And I know there's so many things that Mr. Rowe has gone through, and he's going to speak to us and let us know, give us some insight of what took place with him from he started to where he is now. So, Sergeant Rowe, we're going to call him that for the podcast. Sergeant Rowe is an author, a retired veteran, founder and past president of Jamaica Ex-Soldier Association Atlanta chapter, and the founder and past president of Arden Association, the Atlanta chapter. Sergeant Rowe, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
I want to know about your book. So you wrote a book about your life as a soldier, and it's called Revealing the Hidden Truth About Life as a Soldier, a comprehensive factual account of life serving in the Jamaica Defense Force. Can you first of all tell us how this started?
Interestingly enough, more than likely because of my journey, the challenges and accomplishment, person is always indicating to me that I need to tell my story. So initially, in the back of my head, I figured that I need to, come out and make a statement about my life serving in the Jamaica Defense Force. But to say where it's all coming from, I would begin at the first chapter in the book, State Not So Great Expectation. And that occurred one day I was getting ready to go to school. I lived on the military base where my father was a soldier in the army, and we occupied a married soldiers' quarters called MSQ. And from there we would leave and I would go to school. So because I lived on the base and my dad worked on the base, I remember during the time that I was getting ready to go to school, I went to his office at the JDF workshop where he worked as a vehicle mechanic. And I went to him to ask him for lunch money for school. And he said some things to me that I wasn't able to relate to and took great offense to it, because I believe that what he said to me, he should not have said it in the context that he said it and just how he came. So when I asked him for lunch money, he told me that he didn't have any lunch money to give me because it appears that none of us, meaning my siblings and I, weren't going to amount to anything that he considered as a profession that he could brag about. And I have 5 siblings by my mom and dad by marriage. But I had 4 siblings before my mom and not living with us. And so 3 of the 5 by marriage had graduated from high school, and they were not professor nor doctors or pilots or anything that usual back in the days, parents could say, well, my daughter is a
Right.
pilot or my son is a lawyer. So because none of them had any of those professions, he used that to tell me that because they didn't turn out in the way that he wanted them to, he was wasting time on me and giving me lunch money. And I took offense to that. And that's really where the book generated from in its entirety, and how I became the person I became in doing so many things and creating so many accomplishments by those words.
So that was the push. That was the
That was the
motivating
push,
push.
yes.
So even though it was said in a negative way and it offended you, that's what gave you the push to be where you are today.
Right. In fact, I in my memory, I decided that I was going to use those words as stepping stones to climb the corporate ladder.
Of course.
And that I did.
Mm-hmm. And you also proved him wrong.
And I proved.
Life as a military brat. Let's talk about that.
Well, as I said before, my dad joined the army. Once you're married, you're entitled to a married quarters if you so applied and was successful in your application.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it is that you have so many soldiers that are married that you couldn't accommodate every single married soldier. So they go through a process.
Right.
And my dad was selected and occupied one of the married quarters. My dad, as a mechanic, he migrated, well, not migrated, but he was sent on a course in the UK, in England. And once you go on a course overseas that the jellyfish is sending you for 6 months or more,
right,
your wife and your children under the age of 12 will accompany you during your stay wherever the course has been held, once it's 6 months over and over a year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we joined them in England, having lived on Langston Road near Mountain View. So me and my two siblings who were under the age of 12, my two sisters and I, my two older brothers weren't able to go because they were over the age of 12.
Right.
And so myself and my two siblings and my mom joined my dad in England. So we lived in England. When he finished his course, he came back to the JDF and left us in England. But the prejudice was high. And at that time, I was called names, racism was at the highest peak in England.
Mm-hmm.
And so when my mom decided to follow suit behind my dad, her husband, to come back to Jamaica, she was going to put us in boarding school. And I told her, no, I couldn't go through what I was going through.
Right.
And even though I had my parents, I know that you guys are going back to Jamaica. My father had already left. You're going to put us in board. And I told her, no, we wanted to come back home. So I ended up coming home with her, and a vehicle picked us up at the airport and took us straight into a park camp where my other two brothers at the time and my dad was living. So I pretty much grew up on the military base with every other kid that their dad was also what we refer to as army brats, or we call in some cases Zulu. Zulu is not really meant for the soldiers who grew up on the base, but we sometimes are referred to as that. But Zulu is for the kids who would wander into the camp and help the soldiers move the bags, and if it's a game, they run for the ball, and then they would be fed and given whatever they can get. And they would end up washing the pots and cleaning up after the soldiers. So those are the Zulus, the kids who never lived on the base, but would somehow find themselves on the base, and they would be given the name Zulu. So oftentimes, if the soldier didn't know us or know that we were part of the army family, they would end up calling us Zulus as well. So growing up on the base, though, the camp was broken down into segments. Shantytown and Bridge Park, and we would always have competitions among ourselves. The camp would provide Sunday service every summer. We have 2 weeks of summer school, and we go trips and all of that. And the part that we look to for the most as an army brat is during the Christmas time, when every child get a present. And at that time, they would rent out the entire Hope Garden with all the rides, and the JDF would take that over. And you would have free rides as long as you can join the line and go in, and food and everything. So we lived the life. And most importantly is the fact that we were, like the soldiers, entitled to free medical care and dental.
Okay.
So growing up as an army brat was like a privilege. We were treated a little bit different from those who didn't grow, or the kids that I knew didn't grow. In fact, a lot of my school friends and cadet friends would come visit me just to benefit from some of the activities that
Right.
we benefited from.
Understood.
Yeah.
Love that. Morale and innovation.
Well, joining the army, as you know, it starts from your recruit days. You've been treated a particular way that you're not even sure why the soldiers were treating it that way.
Okay.
In most cases, we took offense to it because we didn't understand it. You know, they would shout at us, call us name, give us some arduous tasks. But really what it was, they were breaking us down from civilian into soldiers. And while we fully never comprehend what was happening, we, again, you know, took offense to how they were treating us. And, you know, we would at times want to retaliate with the fact that if one soldier mess up, then the entire intake would be punished. And so we had to be mindful of how we retaliated. So growing up, I was injured as a recruit. And during that injury, I sustained a back injury that would kind of take me out of commission for a while. Now, while I was hospitalized during part of the training, I eventually ended up going back to the training depot and completing my training. But after I joined the battalion from being a recruit to become a soldier, I was treated in a particular way as if I was one of those sick soldiers that couldn't do any duty. So I would get all of the odds and ends, go clean the
Right. Wow.
had some glitch in their system, and that particular month, the soldiers were not paid. So the morale was I mean, I can tell you, you wait 4 weeks to get paid and then told you can't get paid because of that system. Everybody, you know, was
everybody upset.
So because I came from England and every year we had everybody who live in our community had a birthday party. So I brought that to Jamaica. So every year since I returned, I've had a birthday party and I started planning and organizing events. So much so that majority of the events that was organized in the JDF, as from I was a lance corporal into a corporal till I got to a sergeant and warrant officer, I've been planning at the different stages of my career. So I decided that since the morale was low, I was going to go to the studios. I spoke with my regimental sergeant major at the time, 001 Isaac, and I said, you know, sir, we can put on a little concert, you know, so we can raise the morale somewhat. And he agreed. And I went to the studios and I select the bigger artists. I said, guys, when we were patrolling the street so that we can make it safe for you to have your stage show and you can get paid for your thing and keep the road safe. No, we're having a little concert. I'd love if you guys can pass through and support. And from I got the two big artists in Jamaica to come on board, and every other artist wanted to be there. So I put on one of the biggest, where I would say that any artist known of any caliber in Jamaica turn up to that concert free of cost. And it was a major impact for the JDF. Nice. And was covered by the Entertainment Report and was viewed on national TV. And that has been the biggest highlight to date in JDF history of a major show brought together because of the morals of what was happening to the souls at the time when I jumped in and tried to save the day. So that, you know, and I still have a little clip going around. It has gotten millions of views now because I was able to get a clip of it and post it on YouTube. And so that is circulated. So that's one of the ways that we actually took care of the moral at the time of some of the soldiers who were under stress because they were not paid. And that came out of the innovation of me just getting up and said, you know what, let's do this for them, you know. And so that is the book speaks to that aspect of it and how I know one of the main dancer who brought dancing internationally to Jamaica. I also mentioned about that Bogle dance, Gerald Levy, who was one of Jamaica's biggest dance choreography dancer. He did all of the crafts and so forth. And so I liked him and crowned him king on that event as well.
I mean, that's good camaraderie and community for the soldiers.
It was.
To feel like a home, like it's home for them. You know, they feel like they're being entertained and people are thinking about them. So that's really good. That's a really good motivation or motivator for them. That was really good.
And I tell you something too. Because of the number of artists that gave up their time and talent for free, when I listed it that these guys were coming, a number of the soldiers didn't believe. A number of them didn't believe that we could have motivated and innovate, pull this off. And so some of them didn't believe and didn't turn up at the event until when they came the following morning and heard what a magnificent event it was and they missed out on it.
That was good. I want to go back to something that you said. You said that there was some of the soldiers, the higher ranking soldiers, so we're breaking it down from civilian to soldier. What does that mean? What's the difference with a civilian and a soldier? Why is it that they have to put you through such rigorous training?
Okay, well, soldiers are recruited from all parts of the island in Jamaica. Just like the United States, where you have the different states, and each state brings about its own culture and way of doing things. That's similarly the case in Jamaica. Each parish, people are brought up in different ways. Now, when you try to get everybody under one umbrella, one teaching, one standard, then the training that is to get us to think that we are a unit, that we're working together as a team. And there's no I or you in that team. And so the training by our training instructors was to push us around, call us names. So if you're for argument's sake, if you're on a patrol and a member of the civilian population start to degrade your name or try to insult you, they're teaching us to hold our stance and not respond negatively to such thing. Because if you were to turn your weapon and illegally use it to shoot or to hit somebody, then you bring discredit to the JLF and yourself. So part of that training is to teach you how to stand your ground, teach you how to work together as a team. And so when you get civilians from different parts of the island coming together to be part of a team, you have to kind of dust them off, reshape them, and put them in a frame of mind where they're all working together as one cause.
Let's talk about leadership amidst challenges.
Okay, I face a number of challenges from the get-go, because one, as I told you, I was initially injured during recruit training.
Right.
That brought about me doing odds and ends job. So I end up, in order to get out of the fact that I wasn't a paraplegic, I had to not go. In fact, the first time I was arrested is when I was on a deployment during one of the floods we had in Jamaica in Lionel Town, and I was detailed from within the base to come back into the base to go on a cook course. Now, I never joined the army to become a cook.
No.
I joined the army to become a soldier, and even though we have different skills in the army, cooks and drivers and musicians, I just didn't like the idea that I was a cook. So I was detailed to go on the cook course. And when I went to the class as instructed, I wasn't happy. So the corporal recognized that I wasn't paying attention and, asked of me what's going on. I said, sir, I don't know why I'm here. I didn't join the army to be a cook. If I wanted to be a cook, I would have gone to some other institution to go apply for a job. And he thought I was insubordinate, and he arrested me. And when he arrested me, I went to the guard room, which is what we refer to as our jail. And the RSM at the time, who released me from jail, RSM Lynch, he and my father had served together in the band before he became an RSM. So he knew my father, and he said to me, Rowe, once the army has given you a course, and you're getting a certification for that course, whether you like it or not, go and do the course, and then try to figure your way out afterwards. So I cooked for a year in the army, nonetheless. But I eventually got out of that, and I went into the clerical course. And within the clerical course, the whole force was, and the world was being computerized. And so we had a computer department for the JDF. And I said, that's where I wanted to go work. And so I applied and I was accepted and spent many of my years in the computer field. Now, I got to that point where I couldn't promote any further. We stopped at a warrant officer class 2. And unless we were going to be commissioned, that's the furthest. There were no more vacancies. And so I decided now that if I can't get promoted within the IT department, then I need to go somewhere else that I could be promoted. And so I did the Regimental Sergeant Major course by default. The person who was to do it didn't want to do it because the course was being run on a weekend, and that individual was religious and didn't think it necessary to go to a weekend training course and give up his religious naturality. So I went by default, and my unit wanted a Regimental Sergeant Major, and I was not being looked upon because everybody said I'm an IT specialist. And so I requested of my commanding officer, why is it that the unit requires a Regimental Sergeant Major? I did the course. I was second on the course. Why I'm not being considered? And he said that there were better candidates. So I asked him, what would he consider to be better candidates? Because I've done most of the courses, the platoon sergeant buckle course, the section buckle course, the warrant officer course. I even topped the warrant officer course that was run, and I came second in the RSM course. So who would have been better than me? the fact that I was into IT, and the other persons who usually fill those vacancies are persons who are usually within the infantry.
Right.
So for me to go back to the infantry and take over a role that I've left so many years ago as a private, and then come to be the top,
Yeah.
I came on and several pressure.
Yep.
They didn't want me there. They thought I didn't have the knowledge, nor the experience, nor the fortitude. And so that was my first set of challenges, to show those guys. No, not many of them knew that I'm coming from a cadet background. In the United States, they call it JROTC. In Jamaica, we say cadets. So they weren't aware that I had a cadet background, where I was the first cadet to be appointed regimental sergeant major for the 1st battalion in the cadet. And so I had a lot of experience there, but they weren't seeing that. So I came on a lot of pressure, but I stood my ground, and under my leadership, I was sent to the 2nd battalion. Having spoken to my CO, when he asked me, because when he said it was better, can I ask him, sir, who do you consider, or what criteria are you using to say who is better suited? Because the guys that you are looking at, I've
surpassed
done
that
course with them and surpassed them. So why are you saying this? And he was also a cadet, so he knew me from the cadet days, and he kind of rapped back in his seat. And the next thing I know, an opportunity came for me to be seconded to the Maritime Authority, which is a post outside of the JDF. I was the IT manager, because the IT manager went on maternity leave. So I was asked to go there and assist. So I was on secondment. And I got a call that I need to come for an RSM's interview. Now, when I turned up in our camp on the base, I saw every soldier that had the potential to become a regimental sergeant major. Male, I gathered that the command officer kind of thought about what I said and decided to get all potential candidates now to come on an interview to look at their qualifications. And so when he did that, I end up topping the interview based on a good friend of mine that worked in the headquarters, who called me and said, Garfield, after the interview was completed, you topped the interview, but unfortunately, you still won't be promoted. And then I got a call from my command officer for the 2nd battalion, who said, I did very well on the interview, and he has opted to take me, not as a RSM, but as his drill sergeant for the 2nd battalion. And so I end up being posted to the 2nd battalion. And that's when, as I said before, all the challenges came, because the person didn't understand how I got there, even though I topped the course. Because what had happened is that even though I topped the interview, there are some persons that they had earmarked already to fill those vacancies. And they end up going through with those, but they put me on the list for the next individual, for the next promotion as it came available. And so I went into the 2nd battalion.
There's a lot of challenges that took place. What I'm happy about is that you fought through them and you challenged them.
But that's not even where it stopped.
My goodness.
Because when I went to the 2nd battalion, I had to prove myself, which I did. One thing I brought to them was IT training, and they were not comfortable with that. They thought, oh, true, you're coming from an IT, you want to come teach us about IT, we don't want to. And they were rejecting it. But they further learned that all courses that came shortly after required them to use a laptop. So that's where the force was going. And many of them now start seeing the need of me teaching my senior ranks how to use a computer. Secondly, under my leadership, the 2nd battalion won the Queen's Medal competition. They won the march and shoot competition. They won the swimming competition. They won the choral competition. They won the football competition. And they were dominating the force in terms of their moral and what I brought to the table as a regimental sergeant major. So even though a lot of person didn't like the idea I was there, I was adding value. So the next thing that I did, which was unorthodox to them, was that I was the first regimental sergeant major to have a message in a magazine. Normally, when a magazine comes out for the unit, it would be the commanding officer, who is an officer, the editor, who is an officer, the Governor General of Jamaica, maybe the Prime Minister of Jamaica. But the middle manager who managed the force was never ever, since the West Indian Regiment, or even from the British colony, never had a message from the middle manager in a magazine. So I started by being the first to put that in a magazine, because I thought it was necessary. If I'm the movers and the shakers, because all instructions coming from the commanding officer come to the regimental sergeant major. And he ensures that that task is executed and the force in itself will look good. So I thought that he should have a say in a magazine And I was the first to put that in a magazine. Now, the second achievement under scrutiny again was that I'm the first regimental sergeant major in a battalion to have a vehicle and a driver assigned to me. That privilege is only extended to commanding officers and officers commanding, and a few key appointments who are normally officers. So for me as a regimental sergeant to have a vehicle and a driver assigned to me in the manner of the command officer, I came under not a pressure again from my own soldiers. Say that, sir, you don't need it because you manage the vehicle department, you can always get a vehicle. And I told him to be quiet. I said, it's not about me, it's not about Rowe, it's about the office. So don't fight something that we're improving upon. And so I said, I can leave the unit anytime now, the vehicle is still assigned. So it's not about me. True. And so said, so done. Within another 2 to 3 months, I was posted to the 2nd Battalion. And the same individual who was trying to pressure me about getting the vehicle, that vehicle was left in their care. And they had it all over the place until it was no rumor that, imagine, they were trying to stop me from getting that vehicle. And look at them now with the same vehicle that they were trying to prevent me from getting. So that challenge was in the 2nd Battalion. When I went to the support battalion now, which I was originally from, another greater challenges took up place there again. But, I won't go too much into all of these challenges because it's in the book and I want my readers to read it.
Right. My thing is, your challenges didn't just start in the army, it started from when you were a child.
Yes.
And all of your challenges has shaped you and have allowed you to learn to add value and take up space and challenge the status quo or things that people have said against it, which is what I want readers to even get from your book. I want us to touch the hidden truth and the last one, add value. I want us to touch it though.
Because of what my father had said to me, I decided to prove him wrong. So everything I did, I put my all into it as if it's the last thing I want to prove my dad. So everything I touched turned to gold. Because my heart was in it and I wanted to be the best at what I was doing to show my father that 7 brothers, 7 different minds. So if you believe that my other siblings never make it to where you want to go, don't use it to stereotype me because it's 7 brothers, 7 different minds. So everything that I did since that time, I want to be the best at what I did. And so when I came to the support battalion, I remembered my first battalion PT. I had 300 men approximately. And when it was time to run, and we asked all those on disposal, medical disposal from the doctor, go to the left. Out of the 300, 245 would be on disposal, with the remainder to run. I couldn't understand it. So I said, okay, well, we continue to run, and those who were on disposal, what they did as soon as we fouled them out and took the guys who were fit enough to run, they went walking out. If they were not on our warrant for a duty, they would go home or go to wherever they want to go. So the next battalion PTI organized with the training instructor, the PTI. And I said, gentlemen, for the next PT, we're not going to be doing business as usual. So what I want is that we're going to not violate the doctor's instruction because we can't do that. But if the soldier, whether male or female, is sick with their leg, then they're going to still be a part of the battalion PT. They're going to exercise their upper body, their arms and their necks. And if they have an upper body ailment, then they exercise their lower body, their legs. But everybody's going to. And I did that. So once we said, okay, gentlemen, all persons who have disposal go left, and the 270 go left, I said, okay, PT, I march them down to the field. And while the other guys gone to run, they will be held there doing exercises that would not violate the doctor's instruction. When I did that for the next 2 sets of PTs, persons who realize that they can no longer leave to go home and they're still confined to exercise, you have more people being now able to go and run and take part in the exercise.
Nice.
So what I did, because back in the days when you talk about battalion PT, you just form up and you run all around the camp, up and down the camp like you're crazy. I made battalion PT fun. I made it into a little circuit where I had like a football there. We put 2 vehicles on the field with ropes, and we have people pulling them and tugging, tug of war sort of thing. And we made it fun. We put people on stretcher and had 2 members running with them, and then they do like a relay system with the stretcher. and it was competitive and it was fun, and I gave incentives, maybe a case of beer from the mess for the winning team, you know. So I did a lot of stuff to make it fun that people now no longer want to go walking out. They want to be a part, because when they are not at the PT and miss it and they hear about it the next day, they want to be a part. So that's what I brought. I started adding value to everything that I was doing. But one of the things that I came under pressure with is that when I was commanding my soldiers, I remember the guard used to different subunits within my battalion. So SSB is broken on to several subunits. So the locks company and the workshop, you know, they would provide soldiers for guard. And when the time come, one or two persons is missing. So I came up with a system now. If the corporal in charge can't find that soldier to come on parade on time, then that all the sergeant will join that guard until his soldier turn. And so I cut out all the little loopholes and things. So instead of, I was getting results, you know, I was getting a lot of results, but a lot of people I wouldn't say hate, but didn't like the way that I was infringing on their free time that they normally had.
Right.
But I was creating efficiency, because when guard is mounted at 9 o'clock in the morning, you have all 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the guard is still in camp because of some issues. So the persons who are to be relieved on the outstation, who should have come off by about 12 o'clock, they're there until 3. I changed all that.
Yeah.
You know, so I made it more efficient.
Right.
So that's how that aspect of it. Now, the final analysis is that Coast Guard, not Coast Guard, the support battalion now, whatever the second battalion was within under my leadership when I was there. Now that I'm at the support battalion. The support battalion win Queen's Medal. So they start winning everything that the 2GR was winning.
Nice.
And that is where the add value. Now the soldiers now start coming in as add value. When I was now being posted to the JDF Coast Guard.
Okay.
Which is a very rare posted, because the Coast Guard is they're sailors, and people usually grow up in the Coast Guard to take up the various ranks in the Coast Guard. So it's they wear different uniform, their drilling is different, the culture is different. And so I was sent to the Coast Guard. Now, on my way over there, they heard about all of the things I was fixing, 2GR and the support battalion. Now, the Coast Guard is a more relaxed unit based on their culture. They're not so regimental, and they're more relaxed and things. So when they heard I was coming over there, they didn't want me over there. They kind of, you know, when they're rioting and all those people, the placards and stuff, they're pretty much rioting at Coast Guard. They don't want me there because I'm coming to regiment over there and to turn the thing and get everybody ship shape. So the outgoing Red Chief call everybody and say, guys, I know the man. The man is a strong disciplinarian, but he's a fair guy. So give him a chance. Now, at this time, Coast Guard and the Earring, which is the two smaller force in the unit, in the force. They're the two smaller units, in the force, right, in terms of their numbers. And in force competition, the Earring and the Coast Guard would alternatively become last and second to last in every competition, or in most. You know, there are 1 and 2 times when they will win an event, but for the most part of it, the Earring and the Coast Guard is battling for last in every force event. So because I was winning in 2GR and then I went to SSB and SSB is winning, now I'm going to Coast Guard, they laugh at me and say, no, sir, your winning streak done. So said, so done. No, Coast Guard came and land and won athletics, never seen for 50 years. They won the swimming, and even though they were Coast Guard, they don't normally win swimming. They may have an individual strong swimmer, but they won't normally win. They won swimming the year. They won football. They had the fastest time in the weapon shoot, and Coast Guard became alive. And that is when the name Add Value now start reaching out. So how did the name Add Value come about? When I mustered the soldier, I used to talk to them and say, gentlemen and ladies, you always should be adding value. Because if you're not adding value, you're remaining constant, which means there's no change to what we are doing. And if you're not adding value and you're not remaining constant, you're taking away from the value.
You're dying.
So you have to always add value. And you don't add value when you feel like, or sometime, or when you want to. You add value all the time. So that would be my general speech in all the unit that I've gone to.
Right.
So or when you feel like, or when you want to, you add value all the time. And not only was I saying this to the troops as I move around the force, but I was also demonstrating that by how we were were moving, and every unit that I served in under my command, that unit was dominating the force in terms of moral and what was happening. So that's how the add value came about.
Love it, love it. And I'm happy that you don't only speak about it, but you also show them how to do so. Right, a leader needs to demonstrate, not just speak about it. So that's good. Sergeant, where is it that we can find your book if it is that we want to buy it, and where can we contact you? How can we reach you?
It's currently in Amazon. In fact, when it just came out, I am going to look at the status of it now, but it is at Amazon at new release bestseller 1 and 2 in the paperback and the Kindle.
Okay.
All right, so it's on Amazon and it's in Barnes and Nobles. I'm trying to get into some bookstores there. And if persons want a personal copy, I usually share my email and contact.
Okay.
So they can contact me and I will, ship them a personal copy if they so wish.
Okay. Nice. I love that. I love how you're setting the trend and it's positive.
Right. And then one of the other push to write the book, and I don't think I've said it. I think I've touched on it briefly, but because I'm the only member of the JDF to date to have served in a lateral movement, land, air, and sea. You don't normally find somebody serving in the Coast Guard, serving in the air wing, because they're different units with different roles and responsibility.
Right.
So to have served in the infantry as an infantry regimental sergeant major, then I went to the support battalion as a regimental sergeant major. Then I went to the Coast Guard as a regular lieutenant master chief petty officer, and then back at the air wing as a regimental sergeant major. I would have gone on in history as the only RSM to have served land, air, and sea in a lateral movement.
Love that.
So again, the soldiers would nickname me Add Value, and they'll nickname me RSM Land, Air, and Sea.
Yeah, I love that though. I love the imprint that you have left.
So I know you did say you'll refer to me as to let them know that I'm making this clarity that you did say that you'll refer to me, because some say, wait, I know my Lord. So I'm just referring that out there, because you have those persons that are out there. They listen to everything and they take just what they want from everything that you've said. Just that little part they will take and run away with it.
No. I'm not disrespecting you in any way.
No, I know that, but I'm telling you that I'm clarifying for them who are listening that you did say initially that you're going to refer to me at that, and I am. So thank you for that. And I'm just clarifying for those readers. To my dad, who is no longer with us, you might not have gotten a pilot out of your immediate sons, but the generation to follow.
Yeah,
and certainly Javon, I have no doubt, God's willing, that he will make it and be able to fly a plane and make my his grandfather proud.
Yes.
Never be daunted by words. Never let words put you down. And I don't believe my accomplishment either is just basically what my father told me, but it really was a driving force, because I think in me, based on how I've been growing up prior to me joining, I've been accomplishing, I've been doing things, I've been, making things happen. And so one of the reasons why I'm happy that I wrote this book, as I've said before, is to inspire, because Jamaican and people in general don't like to read.
True.
You put money in a book and it probably stay there for the better part. They will probably find it in a drawer. And if you put it in the book, they might not find it because they don't want to read.
No.
And we also don't document things. And, if this is the first book coming out since, and I can go back in time, but take it as far back as 1962. I won't go back from the British colony. Start from 1962. If I'm the only person to write a book since that time, and there's so many thousands of soldiers before me, then I'm just saying, guys, it can be done. And I'm hoping that this book, instead of person trying to tear it apart with scrutiny, that they use it and inspire themselves to tell their story, because a lot of soldiers out there have their story to tell. And so I'm hoping that I could open their eyes to sit down and share with their viewers and audience their journey, as they would love to tell it. And so that is what I would suggest. But it's a good read. One of the things I heard is that the book is just 172 pages, I think. So persons who have bought the book, as a matter of fact, 120 pages, said as they were getting into the meat of the matter, the book ends. But it's comprehensive, which is what we did say. It's a comprehensive factual account. So I didn't want to get 300 pages of anything because there's a lot more to what I've accomplished. But I just touch on some of the necessary things that I could speak on. And so, again, I'm hoping to inspire soldiers who served before me, soldiers who served during my time, and soldiers who will serve after me. I'm hoping to inspire them with this book so that many of them can now sit down and tell their story.
Definitely, most definitely. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and with the world. I'm sure people will be inspired by it, and people will also be motivated by it. And I want, yeah, man. And I want to also thank you so much to my listeners for listening to the Unfiltered by Jade. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Thank you. Bam, 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 bam.